Back with you live tonight on In Focus. Thanks for staying on this Women's Day edition of In Focus. The South African trade union sector has suffered multiple ructions in recent years. It began with the ousting of Zwelinzima Vavi from Union Federation COSATU, then a leadership tussle at newly formed Federation SAFTU, and now recently the leadership fallout at the metals union NUMSA. It gets worse when one notes the economic crisis brought on by the COVID-19 pandemic and the subsequent economic slowdown. Well, joining us now to discuss where this has put the union sector's women leaders, Rifda Ajam, General Secretary of Federation of Unions of South Africa, FEDUSA, as well, FEDUSA, and the second Deputy President of the National Union of Public Service and Allied Workers, Musima Maredi. Good evening, and thank you very much for your time and for joining us tonight here on In Focus. Rifda, let me begin with you. Is women leadership recognized within the labor movement broadly in South Africa?
Well, good evening to you, Thabo, and thank you very much for the opportunity, first and foremostly. A very broad question that I can only confine to the auspices of FEDUSA at this stage and pick slightly on some of the other elements. What we need to be able to understand and contextualize at this stage is that South Africans and the labour movement in general should stop paying lip service in terms of the role of women in leadership. There has been many aspirations, and I emphasize aspirations, but we need concrete actions to be able to see how well we have advanced in terms of not only gender equality, but empowerment in the sectors as far as the advancement of women is concerned. FEDUSA has solid policies in terms of gender equality and the advancement as such, and there have been stipulations, stringent stipulations, to ensure that inclusivity remains a key mandate that we look towards, not only in all our structures and leadership, but equally so as we continue to be aligned with international best practice. So whilst we have made good strides, there are still lots that can be done.
Yeah. Musima, have we identified the root cause of harmful norms of inequality within the labor sector where, I mean, if I generally take a glance at a number of the labor unions at the helm of a top leadership, it's mostly male, and if they are females, they are generally holding a deputy position. Have we identified the root cause of what is behind that kind of skewing of things, and are we tackling those discriminatory practices nearly sufficiently enough in these institutions?
Thank you, Thabo. I will not say the female in the deputy leadership has any problem. It's just that the women are still in the emerging process. Female leaders, they possesses the same traits as their counterparts, be it vision, perseverance, empathy, and passion. But one thing that the next generation women leaders need to have is to truly be in the forefront of creating women empowerment, so that women could be the leaders, could be in the position of being the chairpersons and being the presidents, not only in the deputy presidents. It should not be a miracle to be a woman in leadership. Remember, women are the life givers, so be in leadership means women can make change, and only if they are acknowledged and united. Yeah.
So what kind of factors, Musima, are you saying could contribute to that shift in the next generation to be able to can transform in the manner that you express?
If women can, if this 50% can be reached, because now it is not reached and it is far being reached. If the oppression, disrespect and being undermined by the counterparts, that women can be in the forefront of leadership.
Yeah. So Rifda, let me bring you in here as well. I mean, 50-50 as a policy, do you think that would be enough to get those who currently hold the position of power to give up their privilege to achieve equality?
Yes, I think it will work.
Sorry, Musima. I just wanted Rifta to come in there. I'll come back to you shortly.
Okay.
All right, Tabo, thank you. I think it's about political will and absolute conviction to be able to take us to where we are. 50-50 is a good start, but we need to advance that. And it shouldn't be a matter of just being a tick box exercise. If we want to truly capacitate our women, if we want to empower them in all levels of society, it should be a matter that is a given. With the context that we are engaging at this stage here now. If I look back into the Federation FEDUSA, we have been setting the scene in terms of where women should be finding their rightful places in society. If I go back to 1997, we've had a female heading the Federation, a female in terms of a presidential leader advancing many issues, and this is Mameri Maleti, and that has been for 2 successive terms, and consequently the progression has been emphatic. I find myself sitting in the position of leadership as well, and it only bears testament to where exactly we are trying to take the organization to. If we are continuing to emphasize that there should be nothing for us without us and that nobody should be left behind, it should be a matter of advancing capacity building and continuously placing those roles and responsibilities in terms of qualitative outcomes, and at the same time it should be a meritorious one, not necessarily one that just bears lip service, and one that ensures, as I have referenced, a tick box exercise. So this has to be a continuous progression, but it has to be one that is a non-negotiable if we want to be truly inclusive and if we truly want to emulate what is happening in terms of international best practice and how South Africa finds itself in terms of the global spaces.
So you're saying more than a function of policy, what you've managed to achieve at FEDUSA is a function of political will.
Absolutely. It takes not just women to empower women, but we have to be able to preach to the converted. And those have to be ones where we find, for example, within our organization, that we have male gender champions. We are capacitating them, and we are ensuring that education and training starts at the very fundamentals, at the basis of how we are advancing these issues. So we are having males speaking out and advancing and protecting females at the same time, but that is only from one perspective. We need to be able to change the narrative, and it should be an aspect that is articulated and advanced in all sectors of society.
Yeah, and Memusima, the use of education. I mean, if you speak of the next generation, how much is the current generation passing on information and educating that next generation of leadership to take full advantage of this transformation that you're talking about of women that needs to be taking up the next leg of leadership in labor unions?
With the next generation, I won't say there will be much of the problem because of this fourth industrial revolution. They will share information using the first industrial revolution. They will share it very easy. The next generation are very much easy. It is very much easy for them to learn, to share information, to pass information to each other with ease. They don't have any problem looking back to what was happening to our forefathers, our foremothers. But with them, it is easy for them to share information. And with education, when they are going to school, unfortunately, due to the situation that we are facing globally, with with no jobs, and it makes not easy for them to be in this workplace easily.
Yeah. So you're saying we should rely on technology to pass on the vital information that young girls who would possibly be future activists in their places of work to know exactly how you carried on the struggle for equal pay and for equal work at positions of employment within the public or be it the private space.
What we are saying is networking using the technology is very easy,
yeah,
and spread easily.
And Rifta, then maybe if we just look at women labor movements broadly, is there a need for a particular space to be created, or, as you put it, it should happen within just a broader labor movement itself? So you have, for example, in political parties, a league of women that champions women issues in politics. Do we need a league of women leadership within the labor sector that will champion women issues in the workplace?
Thabo, my sincere apologies. There was an interruption on the feed that had come through. Reference to Donald, so I didn't get the question in totality, so I'm afraid I may just miss some of the specific elements that you had outlined. If you can kindly repeat.
Okay, so I'm saying, like you have in political parties, there's a women's league or there's a women's wing of a political party that is set up to champion what they say are women issues in society. Do we need a league of that nature within unions to champion women's issues within the workspace?
It's an absolutely essential part of ensuring that there's inclusivity. From our perspective as FEDUSA, that committee has been active for 25 years already. It continues to make progress in terms of issues such as social justice and gender, incorporating the elements of youth to be able to advance issues, as my sister is saying on the platform, in terms of not only the fourth industrial revolution, but many other aspects. Nothing for us without us. And if we are not going to be able to push the boundaries of where we are supposed to be, who is going to be able to take the baton forward whilst we are still ensuring that the rules of engagement can be clearly solidified? It is imperative that these elements affecting women and children must continue to be placed on the table, on the agendas, whether in the boardrooms, on grassroots levels, and wherever we find ourselves. So from a FEDUSA perspective, that committee is solidly established and continues to influence aspects of a socioeconomic aspect, but at the same time in terms of many other aspects that we are finding in society now as organized labor becomes an intrinsic part of what is happening in broader society.
We appreciate your time and thank you so much for joining us and sharing that information with us. Rivda with FEDUSA, Rivda Ajam, as well as NUMSA's second deputy president, Musima Maredi.